Dennis Rodman. Nobody embodied chaos quite like Dennis Rodman. Now, to be fair, Rodman was also one of the greatest defenders and rebounders ever. 5 championships, multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards, endless energy, and the ability to completely wreck opposing offenses. On the court, he was a basketball genius in certain ways, but as a teammate, he could be an absolute nightmare. Rodman constantly created distractions everywhere he went. During his time with the Spurs, things got so bad that teammates and coaches openly questioned his commitment to basketball. He would disappear, skip practices, clash with coaches, and act completely unpredictably. David Robinson reportedly struggled dealing with Rodman's behavior because Robinson was quiet and professional while Rodman constantly pushed boundaries. Then came Chicago. And while the Bulls managed to win with him because of strong leadership from Michael Jordan and coach Phil Jackson, the stories were still insane. Rodman skipped practices, racked up suspensions, kicked cameramen, fought players, and even disappeared during the season for a trip to Las Vegas. And somehow, Phil Jackson basically had to treat him like a wild animal that needed controlled freedom. That is what made Rodman toxic. Not just one incident, constant instability. Teammates never knew what version of him they were getting. One day, he was grabbing 20 rebounds and locking people up. The next day, he was creating headlines that completely overshadowed the team. Gilbert Arenas. Arenas was one of the funniest and most entertaining players in the NBA during the 2000s. He was a scoring machine, a fearless shot creator, and one of the league's biggest personalities. But eventually, that personality became a huge problem. Arenas loved pranks, trash talk, and constantly pushing limits. At first, teammates thought it was funny. Then things started crossing the line. Stories came out about him humiliating rookies, creating tension inside the locker room, and treating the team environment more like a reality show than a professional organization. Then came the infamous gun incident with Javaris Crittenton in 2009. After an argument over gambling debts during a card game, Arenas reportedly brought guns into the Wizards' locker room. Crittenton allegedly responded by bringing his own gun. The entire situation became one of the wildest scandals in NBA history. Arenas later joked about the incident publicly instead of treating it seriously, which made the situation look even worse. The Wizards completely fell apart after that. The locker room chemistry was destroyed, the organization became a joke nationally, and Arenas' reputation never recovered. He went from superstar scorer to one of the most infamous toxic locker room personalities of his era. Latrell Sprewell. When people talk about toxic NBA teammates, Latrell Sprewell is always near the top because of one incident that completely shocked basketball fans. In 1997, during practice with the Golden State Warriors, Sprewell physically attacked head coach PJ Carlesimo and choked him during an argument. Think about how insane that is. NBA practices are full of yelling and tension, but players crossing that line physically with coaches almost never happens. Sprewell reportedly had to be pulled away and later came back again, trying to continue the confrontation. The NBA suspended him for the rest of the season, and the incident became one of the darkest moments in league history. Now, basketball-wise, Sprewell was actually very talented. He was explosive, athletic, emotional, and capable of being an all-star level player. But that same intensity often became destructive. Teammates and coaches constantly had to deal with mood swings, anger, and conflict. Even later in his career, controversy followed him. From contract complaints to locker room drama, Sprewell built a reputation as someone who was incredibly difficult to manage. Jimmy Butler. Jimmy is a weird case because some teammates absolutely love him, and others probably never want to see him again. Jimmy's toxicity mostly comes from how brutally intense he is. He expects maximum effort from everybody, and if he thinks teammates are soft or lazy, he will let them know immediately. The most famous example came with the Timberwolves in 2018. At that point, Butler was frustrated with young stars like Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins because he felt they did not care enough about winning. So during practice, Butler reportedly took third-string players, destroyed the starters, screamed at executives, cursed out teammates, and turned the entire gym into complete chaos. And somehow the story got even crazier because details leaked almost immediately to the media. That practice became legendary because it perfectly summarized Jimmy Butler. Hyper-competitive, confrontational, emotional, and willing to embarrass his own teammates publicly if he thinks they are not serious enough. Now, to be fair, Butler backs it up. He wins, he competes, he pushes teams deep into the playoffs. But that leadership style absolutely creates tension, and not every locker room can survive it. Draymond Green. Dre is one of the smartest defenders and emotional leaders of his generation. He is also one of the most exhausting personalities the NBA has seen. Draymond's intensity helped build the Warriors dynasty. His defense, communication, toughness, and energy were critical to championships. But that same intensity constantly crossed the line into drama and conflict. The biggest example came in 2022 when footage leaked of Draymond punching teammate Jordan Poole during practice. Not shoving him, not arguing, punching him hard enough that the video shocked the entire basketball world. The situation reportedly damaged the locker room badly. Many people inside and outside the organization believed the relationship between Draymond and Poole was permanently destroyed after that moment. And honestly, the punch was just one part of a bigger pattern. Draymond constantly argues with teammates, opponents, coaches, and referees. He racks up technical fouls, suspensions, and emotional outbursts non-stop. Sometimes it motivates the team, other times it completely derails them. That balance between leadership and toxicity has followed him his entire career. Kyrie Irving. Talent-wise, Kyrie is unbelievable. One of the greatest ball handlers ever. Elite shot maker. Clutch scorer. Champion. But team after team has dealt with drama during his career. In Cleveland, reports suggested younger players struggled connecting with Kyrie because he could become distant and moody. Then in Boston, things completely exploded. The Celtics were expected to become title contenders with Kyrie leading the team, but instead the locker room became awkward and tense. Young players reportedly grew frustrated with his leadership style, and Kyrie publicly criticized teammates multiple times during interviews. The chemistry completely collapsed during the playoffs, and Boston fell apart. Then came Brooklyn. And honestly, the Nets era became one giant drama documentary. Between missed games, controversy, strange media moments, sudden absences, and constant instability, the team never developed consistency despite having superstar talent. Kyrie's toxicity is different from someone like Rodman or Draymond. It is less loud aggression and more emotional unpredictability. Teams constantly feel unstable around him. Why? Dwight Howard. A lot of younger fans forget how badly Dwight Howard damaged his reputation during the middle of his career. Early Orlando Dwight was loved. He was dominant, funny, charismatic, and one of the best defensive players in basketball. But once he became a superstar, stories about locker room problems started appearing everywhere. The first major collapse happened in Orlando with coach Stan Van Gundy. Dwight reportedly wanted Van Gundy fired, but then awkwardly denied it publicly, while Van Gundy stood right there during an interview. The whole thing became unbelievably uncomfortable and exposed major locker room tension. Then came the Lakers disaster. Dwight clashed with Kobe Bryant constantly because Kobe thought Dwight was immature and not serious enough. Dwight wanted fun. Kobe wanted obsession. The personalities completely collided. After that, Dwight bounced from team to team for years, and reports about teammates getting frustrated with him kept showing up. People questioned his maturity, leadership, and attitude constantly. It got so bad that a future Hall of Famer started feeling unwanted around the league despite still being productive. Rajon Rondo. Rondo was brilliant and also incredibly difficult. Rondo had one of the highest basketball IQs in the league, but he constantly clashed with coaches and teammates because he believed he knew better than everybody else. His Celtics years worked because veterans like Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce kept things under control. But once Rondo started moving around the league, the drama followed him everywhere. The worst situation came in Dallas. Rondo reportedly clashed badly with coach Rick Carlisle during the Mavericks' 2015 playoff run. At one point, he quit on the team during a playoff game and was essentially sent away from the roster. Carlisle later admitted the fit was terrible. That is almost unheard of for a player of Rondo's talent level. His issue was not effort. It was ego mixed with stubbornness. He constantly challenged authority, argued with coaches, and made locker rooms tense because he refused to fully buy into systems unless he respected them. DeMarcus Cousins. Cousins had all the talent in the world. Elite footwork, great passer, strong rebounder, skilled scorer. At his peak, he looked like one of the best centers in basketball, but emotionally, Cousins could become completely uncontrollable. He constantly argued with referees, coaches, teammates, and opponents. The Kings spent years trying to build around him, but the environment became toxic because every game felt emotional and chaotic. 1 second, Cousins would dominate the game. The next second, he would pick up technical fouls, lose focus, scream at officials, or create drama that hurt the team. And over time, teammates reportedly became frustrated because his emotions could completely hijack games. Coaches struggled managing him, and Sacramento never escaped dysfunction during his years there. Cousins was not toxic because he was lazy. He was toxic because his emotional volatility constantly affected the entire team environment. Kobe Bryant. This one might surprise some people, but young Kobe Bryant was extremely difficult to play with. Kobe demanded perfection constantly. He pushed teammates hard, insulted players he thought were weak, and had almost zero patience for people he believed lacked work ethic. The biggest example was obviously his feud with Shaquille O'Neal. Despite winning 3 championships together, Kobe and Shaq constantly took shots at each other publicly and privately. Kobe reportedly hated Shaq's conditioning and lack of discipline. Shaq thought Kobe was selfish and obsessed with proving himself. The tension became so toxic that the Lakers eventually chose Kobe over Shaq and split up a dynasty. And Kobe's intensity did not stop there. Former teammates have talked for years about brutal practices, mind games, insults, and impossible standards. Now, eventually, Kobe matured into a respected veteran leader. But early career Kobe absolutely created fear and tension inside locker rooms because he treated teammates almost like obstacles if they were not matching his mentality. Allen Iverson. Iverson was one of the toughest and most iconic players ever. But being teammates with Iverson could reportedly be exhausting. The biggest issue was accountability. Iverson hated practice culture, resisted authority, and often clashed with coaches over structure and discipline. His famous practice rant became legendary because it perfectly captured his attitude toward preparation at that point in his career. And while teammates respected his toughness and scoring ability, some also became frustrated with the constant drama surrounding him. Iverson's style of leadership was emotional and chaotic. He led by surviving everything physically, not by creating structure. Late in his career, things got worse because he struggled accepting smaller roles. Teams like Detroit and Memphis quickly realized the fit was awkward because Iverson still viewed himself as the main star no matter the situation. That stubbornness made locker rooms uncomfortable and complicated. Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is one of the greatest scorers the NBA has ever seen. But at the same time, his career has quietly become filled with tension, drama, and locker room instability almost everywhere he goes. Now, unlike somebody like Draymond Green or Dennis Rodman, Durant's toxicity is usually not loud screaming or physical fights. It is more subtle. Moodiness, frustration, sensitivity to criticism, sudden unhappiness, and eventually entire organizations getting thrown into chaos around him. The biggest example was Golden State. From the outside, it looked perfect. Durant joined a 73-win Warriors team, won 2 championships, and dominated the finals. But internally, things reportedly became awkward over time. Durant constantly dealt with criticism from fans and media who claimed the championships felt cheap because he joined such a stacked roster. And eventually, the tension inside the Warriors locker room exploded during the famous argument with Draymond Green in 2018. During a game against the Clippers, Draymond screamed at Durant on the bench and reportedly told him the Warriors did not need him because they had already won before he arrived. That moment exposed cracks people had suspected for years. Even though the Warriors kept winning, Durant never fully seemed comfortable there after that. Then came Brooklyn. And honestly, the Nets era became one giant disaster despite having Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden together. At first, it looked unstoppable. 3 superstar scorers on one team. But injuries, drama, Kyrie controversies, coaching problems, and locker room instability completely destroyed everything. Harden reportedly became frustrated with the environment and forced his way out. Then, Durant later requested a trade himself after the organization collapsed around him. That is what makes Durant interesting on a list like this. He is not toxic in the classic aggressive sense. He is toxic in the sense that wherever he goes, the pressure, sensitivity, social media arguments, frustration, and constant tension eventually seem to wear organizations down. Former teammates and media members have repeatedly described him as someone who can become emotionally distant, frustrated easily, and unhappy even in successful situations. Even in Phoenix, reports of frustration and tension started surfacing once expectations became championship or bust. And the weirdest part about Durant's career is that basketball-wise, he almost always delivers. He scores efficiently, he performs in the playoffs, he works hard, he puts up superstar numbers. But emotionally and socially, the environments around him often become exhausting. That is why Kevin Durant deserves a spot on this list, because despite being one of the most gifted players ever, his career has repeatedly shown how even all-time talent does not guarantee healthy locker room chemistry. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, comment below. Who do you think is the most toxic teammate in NBA history?